A pretty good game here between the Colts and the Steelers. I was not expecting that to be the case. I thought it was going to be pretty ugly. We have some things that we need to talk about, obviously, over the weekend and with this game. We'll have, I'm sure, a decent amount of questions to answer as well. So let me go ahead. Let me set this up. And as I do, of course, if you're watching this as a video later on, make sure you fix your life, drop that like, subscribe to the channel. And if you want to check out any of these player props over here for week 13, you can find the link down there in the description. You can find the link in the comment section. When you sign up to Underdog with promo code FLOCK, they're going to match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100. And only with promo code FLOCK are you not only going to get that 100% deposit match, but this week you are going to get a free Patrick Mahomes 0.5 passing yards bet. So I'm super excited that we're able to get that to y'all. Available in damn near every state. But I think that should be it. We have a thumbnail thrown on this bad boy. I mean, we decided to go with George Pickens based on the fact that he is a walking highlight reel. I mean, that is pretty exciting. And we can recap the game. The big thing that happened in this game, I would say, is going to be the Najee Harris injury, of course. Like, Najee Harris goes down. I mean, ruled out for the rest of the game with the abdomen. This will be something we have to continue to monitor going forward. I mean, we thought based on the Jaylen Warren injury, hell, you would have, I mean, Najee Harris is a 3-down bell cow. Then you have Najee Harris finally as someone that is a viable player to start. We aggressively ranked him this week. We talked about going through and trading for him a few weeks back when his value was at an all-time low. I thought we had kind of hit it, but if he's going down, obviously we have to reevaluate. Now, what's interesting here is obviously the multitude of injuries for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Because if it was just Najee Harris going down, I honestly don't think you would have too much intrigue with Benny Snell. But let me pull up the final box score with Benny Snell here. Because the big thing is, obviously, when we have Jaylen Warren down as well, those top two RBs leaving, all of a sudden, Benny Snell is going to be somewhat appealing. Now, the issue is you have Anthony McFarland, who is the passing down running back here, getting involved as a pass catcher. Benny Snell really is not going to be capable in that area of the field. Benny Snell is going to be the first and second down grinder. He's going to be the touchdown upside player. But he is slightly more appealing just given the fact that you have no Warren here as well. If you wanted to start him next week, I'd be looking for a non-PPR format. You'd start him as a low-end RB2 and pray that you get a touchdown. On the Jonathan Taylor team for the Indianapolis Colts here, Jonathan Taylor goes out. He has the 86 rushing yards, 20 carries, gets the rushing touchdown. Jonathan Taylor's 3 receptions, 12 receiving yards, gives you a respectable day mainly because that rushing touchdown. Outside of that, Michael Pittman Jr., a buy low wide receiver for us 2 weeks ago. I mean, even though he was someone that we hated coming into the season, does come through, 7 receptions, 61 receiving yards, and the receiving touchdown. Talk about it all the time. It's probably a pretty good idea to chase volume. George Pickens leads the team in receiving, despite only have 3 receptions compared to Deontay Johnson getting more volume, as we've come to know and love from George Pickens and Deontay Johnson. The fact that you are getting Deontay the volume, Pickens the efficiency. Pickens is the talented player. But an interesting spot to say the least. I think Kenny Pickett looked, I don't want to say great this game. I mean, 28 pass attempts. He had 174 passing yards. I want to come out here and act like Kenny Pickett took massive steps forward, but impressive performance from Kenny Pickett. Impressive performance from Pickett. But I think that should be it for this game. Unless y'all have any other questions, we can go through and we can dive in to the questions that we had, I'm assuming just over the weekend and such. So Steve Mello coming out with our first one says 6-6, trade deadline tomorrow. Any moves we should make? Allen, Saquon, JT, Hopkins, Evans, Andrews, Olave. And then on the bench, Montgomery, Pierce, Garrett Wilson, Jameson Williams, and Justin Fields. If we could go through and sell Justin Fields in a package deal with someone else in the starting lineup, maybe we go Justin Fields and Dameon Pierce and get a player that we're very excited about for the flex. Maybe we go get Amon-Ra St. Brown. That could be someone intriguing. Because if you have Josh Allen, we're never starting Justin Fields. Outside of that, really the only thing that I would look to do is maybe try to invent a time machine. If we could invent an effective time machine where we're able to go back to the past and we are able to ship off Dameon Pierce as a running back one when he had that value, then we do it. But at this point, I don't know if that's going to be possible anymore, my friend. And if you can't invent that time machine, please shoot me a DM because I need to go back and tell myself not to be drafting Deontay Johnson. But now Alex says, a top 5 tight ends rest of season in order. We're going to go Travis Kelce 1, Mark Andrews 2, 3 on. You figure it out, my friend. I have no idea. Robert says, if Deshaun Watson starts, should we start him over Kirk Cousins? I personally would. I think that maybe with Deshaun Watson, you get a little rust at the very beginning. I mean, of him coming back. Maybe against the Houston Texans here, they decide to just run the ball over and over and over again. Long term, I think you are going to be starting Deshaun Watson over Kirk Cousins. This week, I'd be fine if you wanted to go Cousins. Long term, I think Watson will be a better option, though. Now, real quick, we just hit 100 likes in the live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there, dropping a like on the stream. Let me do the same thing because I cannot ask you to hit that like button if I'm not going to do it myself. So here's how it's done, ladies and gentlemen. You go this, click the button, right? And then afterwards, we're going to go ahead and we are going to hit that little thumbs up. It will do a cool little animation. It will dance for you. It will turn white. Just trust me on it. Go down there, drop that like. It'll help us out a ton. Now, Kevin says, what running backs are you taking over Josh Jacobs rest of season in a full PPR format, especially for the playoffs since his schedule is a bit rough? Glad he won me my week. Obviously, I am very biased here with our number 1 most drafted player in fantasy this year, my friend, with Josh Jacobs. I think in a full PPR format, you got to take Eckler. And that's only in a full PPR league. I don't know. Derrick Henry for the fantasy football playoffs. Derrick Henry has a phenomenal schedule. But if you look at points per game for a half PPR format right now, points per game, half PPR, here are the league leaders. Josh Jacobs 1. Austin Eckler 2. Derrick Henry 3. Nick Chubb 4. Saquon Barkley 5. Josh Jacobs is number 1 right now in points per game in half PPR format. Full PPR, I think you go Eckler, and with the fantasy playoff schedule, as we said, you go Henry, but not too many, my friend. And Victor says, should I be worried about Evans? I mean, we were saying the same thing about Chris Godwin a few weeks back. Nope. The offense has a lot of passing volume still. I think Evans is going to be just fine. He had 9 targets this past week. I mean, over the past 5 weeks, he's averaging double-digit targets. Now, Abram coming out, thank you, says, thank you for all the hard work, Mason. No, thank you. Quick question. This week makes me 7-5. For rest of season, should I play Kamara or Rachaad White in a full PPR format? So obviously, it's very difficult to rank Rachaad White right now, not necessarily knowing the role that we are going to be getting when it comes to Leonard Fournette making his way back into this offense. So it's difficult to rank Rachaad White, but very similar to what we did with Tony Pollard last week. Well, Rachaad White looks phenomenal, and why, I mean, I know everybody here pretty much has Rachaad White. I do think we have to at least acknowledge the fact that I think it's going to be a similar situation what you have with Ezekiel Elliott coming into Dallas. And despite Rachaad White looking very good, despite Tony Pollard looking very good, the veteran still gets work. I think Leonard Fournette's still going to get work here in Tampa. I think you're still going to go Alvin Kamara over Rachaad White with the assumption that Leonard Fournette is back. If you look at my rankings this week, we have Alvin Kamara at 15 going up against Tampa, and I have Rachaad White at 18 going up against the Saints. And of course, that's with the assumption Leonard Fournette will be back, my friend. Now, Wu-Tang says, Chase for Walker. Very fair deal, my friend. I think it's up to your roster construction. Now, Joe says, hey, Mason, I need a tight end very badly. Do I do Christian Watson for David Njoku and Zay Jones? Also, what's the prediction with White, sell high? Wirf's injury. I don't know what the hell that means, my friend. I would say with Rachaad White, I mean, y'all know we spent how long, and I repeat, how long talking about Rachaad White as a buy low candidate? I think Rachaad White, I mean, was on a buy low running back video for us for about 10 weeks in a row, something ridiculous. So don't scream at me when we say this. I'm not going to fault you if you wanted to go through and sell Rachaad White. If you could get Alvin Kamara, the player we just had in the question right before this, for Rachaad White, knowing Leonard Fournette's most likely to come back, I think we will. And regarding trading Christian Watson for David Njoku, I like Christian Watson. I'm in a best ball format. We are very in on Watson. We have him everywhere. But if you're looking at the touchdown efficiency so far this year, there's just no way, and I repeat, no way in hell that Christian Watson keeps up this touchdown efficiency. So I think it's going to be a fair deal and up to your roster, my friend. Now, we just hit 200 likes on this live stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there and dropping that like. If you have not done so yet, fix your life, hit that like button. And Alex asking, how many quarterbacks are we starting over Deshaun Watson? Okay, so you're saying rest of season. Let's not include this week, right? Because this week, I think Watson maybe comes in and is a little rusty. Let me go and give you every quarterback that I know for a damn fact we're starting over Deshaun Watson. Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert when we get Mike Williams back, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, those are the only quarterbacks I know for a fact that we are going to be starting over Deshaun Watson down the stretch. Now, I think that there's a lot of uncertainty. Obviously, we have not seen him in quite some time. I think he's going to fall in line with the guys like Tua Tagovailoa, Joe Burrow. I could easily see Tua and Burrow running laps around Deshaun Watson. It's entirely possible. Hell, is probably likely. But I can't say for a fact that they are going to be significantly better fantasy options than Watson. I think they're going to be much better real life options than Deshaun Watson. Don't necessarily know fantasy. I think he falls in line with the Tua, Burrow, Kyler tier. Now, Christian says, a full BBR, should I be worried about Christian McCaffrey? Yes and no. Clearly, they don't want to use him as a workhorse running back. Clearly, he's dealing with some nagging knee injury. But, I mean, at the end of the day, when you have the Elijah Mitchell injury here, I think he's going to be fine. Walter coming out of the donation says, you're the best in the game. No. Thank you, my friend, for being a long time member of the flock. I truly do appreciate you, my dude. Now, Nick says, contending team 8-3 dynasty, 12-team superflex, start 1 running back, 1 receiver, and 5 flex. Trade Swift and Pacheco for Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'd be getting the Amon-Ra St. Brown side. I would do this. I think that, in a full PPR format where you only have to start 1 running back, even with all these flex spots, I'm not really valuing Isaiah Pacheco that highly. I'm just way more willing to go out there and trade for the wide receiver in that format where you can start up to 6 of them. That's how I build my dynasty teams in that format in particular. If you're a contending team, let's get St. Brown. Now, Grant says PPR 12-team league. Should I trade Barkley, Henry, Keenan for Diggs and Eckler? So going from, say, Henry to Eckler in a full PPR format, probably going to be a slight upgrade / lateral move. Personal preference. Going from Barkley to Diggs, Barkley and Keenan to Diggs. Barkley to Diggs is an upgrade. It depends on how much value you're putting into Keenan. The team's Herbert, JT, Henry, Barkley, Amon-Ra, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, and Treylon Burks. I think it is a fair deal. Up to you. We don't have a ton of depth here. It's not like we have 6 wide receivers we can spare. Y'all know I'm not a big Terry McLaurin fan from a fantasy football standpoint. We've talked about this for God knows how long. The man just doesn't score fantasy points. Let me read off all the wide receivers that are ahead of Terry McLaurin in points per game so far this year. This is not someone I want to have to rely on at wide receiver too. I know a lot of people love the man. I get it. And it looks like, we do not have this updated by Fantasy Pros yet. We are in week 13. Okay, let's see if we can get an additional week in here. Yeah, week 12. Bam. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to go with week 1 to 12, wide receiver, points per game. Okay, fantasy data messing us up here. I am sorry, ladies and gentlemen. This is actually a little bit more difficult to get to. Okay, here we go. We just got it. Here are the wide receivers that have been more productive than Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin's the wide receiver 28. Gabe Davis, DK Metcalf, Mike Williams, Jacoby Myers, Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, Michael Pittman, Mike Evans, Chris Olave, Tyler Lockett, Chris Godwin, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk, A.J. Brown, Amari, Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Michael Thomas, Jalen Waddle, Marquise Brown, Jamar Chase, DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs. He's the wide receiver 28 from a points per game perspective. He's a wide receiver 3. I don't want to have to rely on him as a weekly starter, so I don't love trading away that wide receiver depth. Josh says Isaiah McKenzie or Mike Evans. We're going to go Mike Evans by a mile. Dak or Brady. I think we're going to go probably Brady because Dak doesn't have to throw the ball with how damn good the Dallas Cowboys defense is. Now, Brian says Mixon and Evans for Deontay Foreman and Justin Jefferson. Full PPR, we have Saquon, White, Mixon, and P. Ryan. Wide receiver, we have Amon-Ra, Evans, Pickens, Sutton, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Burks. I would do this deal if instead of trading away Mike Evans, we can move any of the other wide receivers. If we can move George Pickens, if we can move Cortland Sutton, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Treylon Burks, or two of those guys, then yes, but I don't want to be selling Mike Evans at this all-time low point. I mean, the man's coming off 9 targets. You still have passing volume here. Now, Suggett coming out, long-time member of the flock, says, would you trade Jefferson for Hopkins and Brown? This is Hollywood Brown. No. AJ Brown. Very close. Joe says, I'm scared of Tristan Wirfs' injury. Is this going back to the question we had earlier? I don't think the question we had earlier has to do with anything with this injury. I mean, I don't think you need to be overthinking it, my friend. Rachaad White derives the majority of his value as a passing down running back. Rachaad White's deriving the majority of his value just based off the raw amount of receptions he's getting. He had 9 receptions this past week. Like, I'm not telling you to sell Rachaad White because I think the offensive line is going to take a step back. I mean, if you're selling Rachaad White, the reason you're selling him is you're worried about what the Leonard Fournette role is going to be like in this offense. In my opinion, that's why you'd be looking to sell. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Ja. No, we already answered that one. Ja Guy says, hey, Mason, appreciate your work. No, thank you for coming out. Pick 2 rest of season. Zay Jones, Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton, Jamison Williams, Garrett Wilson, Donovan Peoples-Jones. Assuming that we get Jerry Jeudy back at some points, I think we probably got to drop Cortland Sutton here a bit, right? Garrett Wilson's easily going to be one of these names. Garrett Wilson with Mike White. I mean, just Garrett Wilson with anybody not named Zach Wilson should be a very, very exciting player. Christian Watson's been phenomenal, but I'm afraid that the efficiency may come down and the volume's not there to sustain him. We're going to go Garrett Wilson and Cortland Sutton for the time being. But y'all know, I mean, we built a brand talking about how overrated Cortland Sutton was in this Denver Broncos offense this offseason. I mean, I want to stand by that. But when you have no Jerry Jeudy, when you have no KJ Hamler, when you have no Tim Patrick, when everybody's out here, even if this is one of the worst offenses in the NFL, the man's going to get targets. Now, Bragan says, new here this season. Love your stuff, man. No, thank you so much, my dude. Should I trade Etienne and Burks for someone like Barkley or McCaffrey in a full BBR 10-team league? I would say in a 10-team league in particular, if you only have one flex spot, I mean, Treylon Burks is not really going to be someone that makes an impact in our decision here whatsoever. If it is a full BBR format where you only have one flex, 10-team league, I think really it's just going to come down to what running back do you want? Hell, I mean, if you really want Christian McCaffrey over Travis Etienne, go get Christian McCaffrey over Travis Etienne. If you really want to go through and if you really want to take Saquon Barkley over Travis Etienne, you go ahead and do it. I think that they are in a similar tier where you're not making a massive mistake one way or another. Let me ask everybody in the live chat. Can everybody please spam the live chat? We have over 700 people here. Be very interested to know your opinion on this. Who would you rather have rest of season? Travis Etienne, Saquon Barkley, or Christian McCaffrey? Okay. Can everybody please spam the chat? Sounds like Travis Etienne's going to play this week. Rest of season, do you want Etienne, Saquon Barkley, or Christian McCaffrey? Okay, so Etienne, CMC, Barkley, CMC, Barkley, CMC, Barkley, CMC, Barkley, CMC, 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 Barkley, CMC. Sounds like most people are going to be rolling with McCaffrey. I mean, I think it's hard to make an argument against it since we have no Elijah Mitchell here. Maybe if Elijah Mitchell was healthy at that point, it would be something we have to worry about. Groot coming out. Always happy to see you out here. Says, hope you had a great Thanksgiving. Should we start White over CMC? Nope. Start to Godwin, Juju, Wilson, and Michael Pittman. I think we're going to go with the combo of Chris Godwin and Garrett Wilson, assuming that we have Mike White next week, which we will. So yeah, let's go Godwin and Garrett Wilson. I mean, I think you have to be very excited about this New York Jets offense. And Godwin, I mean, dominated this past week. The man had like 12 receptions. Now, real quick, we are 1 like away from hitting 300 likes in this live stream. So please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. And speaking of Mike White and Garrett Wilson, before I forget, we got to go point this out to you. I was very surprised to see how low that they opened up these lines for Mike White and Garrett Wilson. For y'all to take advantage of that before they get moved, because I'm assuming people are going to go take the over there. But if you're not interested in that line, later on this week, regardless of if you signed up for Underdog a year ago, 2 years ago with promo code FLOCK, or you signed up for Underdog this week with promo code FLOCK, or you sign up for Underdog right now with promo code FLOCK, y'all will be getting the Patrick Mahomes special free bet this weekend. Could not be more excited to get y'all this, especially because the game's going to be so damn exciting. That's only if you use promo code FLOCK. If you signed up to Underdog with a different promo code, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to help you out. Now, our next question coming out from, I believe, Evan, who says, in a 10-team PPR format, double flex, 6 and 6, should we trade Latavius Murray, Garrett Wilson, Alvin Kamara for CMC? 10-team league, even if it's a double flex format, it's still going to be a shallower one. I mean, we have Dalvin, Rashad White, Pacheco, Dobbins, Lamb, Diggs, Chase, Burks, and Kyler. So Garrett Wilson's not really going to be someone that we're starting. Let's go ahead and let's get CMC in this deal now that you have no Elijah Mitchell rest of season. Specifically because we have no Elijah Mitchell rest of season and it's only a 10-team league here, I think we pull the trigger. Now, the capper coming out says, what's up, my man? PPR league. Should I trade Mixon for Olave straight up? No. We have Pollard, Etienne, Jeff Wilson Jr., Justin Jefferson, and T. Higgins. No, sir. I think we roll through. I think we keep we keep Joe Mixon here. You already have the elite level wide receiver with Justin Jefferson. You already have another very quality wide receiver with T. Higgins. Why the hell are we looking to trade Joe Mixon at this price point? I know he's a bad playoff schedule, but still. Now, 20 says, are we starting Watson over guys like Brady, Geno, etc.? Oh, hell yeah, I'm starting Deshaun Watson over Brady and Geno. I mean, Watson has some rushing upside. I don't think he's going to be run the ball as much as he did his rookie year back in 2017, but he's still going to run it a lot more than someone like Tom Brady. Rock Bottom says, rest of season in a full PPR, Hollywood or Donovan Peoples-Jones? Thank you. No, thank you for supporting the channel. We are going to go ahead. We're going to take Hollywood Brown here. I mean, Hollywood, you're worried about him being on a snap count this past week, and he comes through and plays more snaps than DeAndre Hopkins, runs more routes than DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, he plays pretty much every snap, runs every route possible in this offense. Now, Sam says, where do you rank T. Higgins after Jamar Chase returns? High-end wide receiver 2, my friend. I mean, right in that same tier, guys like Chris Godwin. Kobe says, hey, Mason, I won by 1.26 with no Mixon or Etienne. Hell yes. Now 6 and 6 and in the playoffs. What should I do with P. Ryan, Montgomery, and Mike Williams? Should I go for a trade? Also, we have Diggs, Godwin, Christian Watson, Pickens, and Tua. Okay, my friend, to be completely honest with you, you're not going to be able to sell these guys for anything. I think you hold them. I think that you just hope that they are impact players for you down the stretch. I'd be very surprised if you go out there and send a message in your league chat going, hey guys, just to let you know, yeah, we haven't had Mike Williams in here in quite some time, but he's on the trade block, send offers. So, I think you're just kind of going to have to hold him. Really hope that he comes back. Really hope that he does eventually make a difference. But congrats on the win this week, and you're in a good spot. I don't feel the need to trade those guys. Now, TJ says, start Garrett Wilson or Olave next week. Can everybody spam the chat here? If we're looking at the underdog lines, let me see if they have the Chris Olave lineup for this week. I mean, they maybe do, but I didn't screen record all the way down that far. My little screen recording tool on my computer gets cut off down at the very, very bottom for those Monday night games. So let me go ahead. Let me pull up. What is their line on Chris Olave this week? Their line on Olave is 58.5 total yards. Whereas, like we showed, they have Garrett Wilson at 50.5. So, I mean, they're telling us to go with the player that we've seen it over a larger sample, to go ahead and take Chris Olave. I want to get excited about Garrett Wilson. I want to tell you to go Garrett Wilson over Chris Olave. But for Underdog to have this pretty big gap between the two guys, usually Underdog knows what they're doing. Obviously, if they're wrong with these lines, they stand to lose a lot of money. We were making fun of them last week for having Zay Jones over Donovan Peoples-Jones, and we see how that played out for us. So, I don't know. I think we probably just listen to them, right? Do we listen to them and just say Chris Olave? Very close, my friend. I will get you wide receiver rankings out soon. Now, Max says trade targets for Mike Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, and or DeAndre Swift. 8-4 in the playoffs with Allen Olave, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Henry, Pat Frymuth, Pacheco, and Swift starting as well. Dear God. So, I mean, if we're looking to go ahead and make a play, I mean, I think Isaiah Pacheco is really the only guy we could get some value for here. I mean, Isaiah Pacheco was in a very good spot this past week because you were looking at a player that, hell, was in a very good game environment. The Kansas City Chiefs were 15.5-point favorites over one of the worst teams in the NFL at this point, over the Los Angeles Rams. So you knew they were going to be able to run the ball consistently in the second half. That's kind of what you're wanting for Isaiah Pacheco, who doesn't catch the ball out of the backfield whatsoever. I mean, I think that you could view him as a potential sell high guy, just depending on the rest of your roster. If you wanted to move maybe Isaiah Pacheco and Mike Williams, and go get just, I mean, maybe David Montgomery and then a lower tier wide receiver in return, I think that could be viable in a PPR format where at least Montgomery will give you some receptions out of the backfield. Josh says Isaiah McKenzie or A.J. Brown this week. Josh, my friend, I am sorry to burst your bubble here, but you are way too high on Isaiah McKenzie. It's easily A.J. Brown. MC Time says Pacheco or White this week in a standard league. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take Rashad White over Isaiah Pacheco. Dominic says 8-4 in a full PPR league where we have Eckler, JT, Walker, Lamb, Higgins, Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Dalton Schultz, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Deshaun Watson. Should I trade away Kenneth Walker for the playoffs? So I understand Kenneth Walker does have a bad playoff schedule. If you wanted to pivot off Kenneth Walker and go get someone like Travis Etienne, I wouldn't hate you for that. I mean, we did rank Kenneth Walker, I believe, one spot ahead of Travis Etienne in our rest of season rankings. And the reason that we did it is we used the tie break that we wanted the player for the fantasy football playoffs where his team was actually going to be playing for something at the end of the season. Where, I mean, obviously, the Seahawks are playing for something. The Seahawks could actually go out there, win the division, and possibly win a playoff game. Who the hell knows? I wouldn't fault you at all. I mean, in a full BBR format, if you could go move maybe Kenneth Walker and then like Garrett Wilson and get Christian McCaffrey with the Elijah Mitchell injury, that could be interesting. The Noctorious One says, should we trade Mixon for CMC or stay put in a full PPR league? Let me ask everybody in the live chat, who would you rather have rest of season? Keep in mind, Mixon has a brutal playoff schedule. Christian McCaffrey has a better playoff schedule than Joe Mixon. But full PPR, can everybody spam the chat? Are you going Joe Mixon or Christian McCaffrey? Cincinnati Bengals have had 9 touchdowns over the past 3 weeks with their running back room. Looks like everybody taking CMC easily here. Looks like everybody taking CMC. Juicy says, I don't know if I should drop Donovan Peoples-Jones or Swift for Garrett Wilson. I'll drop Donovan Peoples-Jones for Garrett Wilson. Swift had like 8 targets out of the backfield. Maybe the situation's changing. Obviously can't start him anytime soon, but who the hell knows? Ali says, how worried should I be about Najee Harris? I mean, the man had the role before the injury. I think it's just going to be down to the injury. I'm sorry, my friend. I am not going to be your guy for expert injury analysis. I would say 99% of people looking at the TV screen and telling you exactly how you should be worried aren't going to be accurate with their injury analysis. I would just wait until we hear what the team tells us tomorrow. Now, Houston says, trade Montgomery for Njoku or any other tight end suggestions. I would go ahead and I would try to aim a tier higher. Let's go ahead and let's try to get like a TJ Hawkinson if we're trading away David Montgomery. Now, Patrick says, I got a W in both my leagues this week. Hell yes. 5-7 in one, 6-6 in the other. In the 5-7 league, can I feel comfortable dropping Allen Lazard for Treylon Burks? My wide receivers are Allen, Ayuk, Myers, Olave in a full PPR format. I think if we are looking at Romeo Doubs coming back in soon, you definitely have, in my opinion, Treylon Burks with a higher ceiling than Allen Lazard in their respective offenses with their respective target competition. Now, of course, just because Treylon Burks has a higher ceiling, that doesn't necessarily mean we should make the move, because if we are looking at Treylon Burks, I'll say at the same time, he's less established. He does have a lower floor. I'd be fine. If you really wanted to go through and drop Allen Lazard for Treylon Burks, I think Lazard has the higher floor, Burks has the higher ceiling. So for that reason, I think it's going to be up to you, and you can't really go wrong one way or another. It's a move you can look to make. It's just going to be difficult whenever we have, Randall Cobb, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson, and Allen Lazard, and Aaron Jones all fighting for targets in this offense that doesn't have a lot of passing volume for Lazard to get there. Now, Sugget says, it was A.J. Brown, bro. You're the guy. No, thank you so much. If it was A.J. Brown, I think we'd probably go ahead and pull the trigger. Thank you for supporting the channel. Derek out here. Happy to see you, my friend. Mahomes, Dalvin, Henry, Evans, Lamb, Everett, JT. And on the bench, Zeke, Burks, Garrett Wilson, Deebo Samuel, Devonta Smith, Courtland Sutton. What trades can we do to improve this team? Should we trade Mike Evans? Who can we target and package? I would say you can't trade Mike Evans, my friend. Everybody panicking on Mike Evans right now. If we're going to be fair with Evans, yes, he has been bad. But at the same time, he had the target volume. He had 9 targets this past week. Same thing we were saying with Chris Godwin earlier in the season. When you have the passing volume in this offense, we can assume that the touchdowns are going to get a little bit better down the stretch. I don't necessarily think that we should go through and just try to sell Mike Evans. You're not going to get much at all right now with everybody panicking. If you were going to go through and look to make a move, I think we try to upgrade tight end. If we could trade like Ezekiel Elliott, Gabriel Davis, or Deebo Samuel, either one. Let's go with Zeke, Deebo Samuel. Dear God, can I speak? And Gerald Everett to go get a long-term upgrade at tight end. Go get someone like Mark Andrews. I think that would be the play. Obviously, Andrews has been very, very concerning here. But now our next question coming out from RJ says, full BBR, should we expect production like this from Godwin rest of season? How are we feeling about Christian McCaffrey rest of season? Is Jalen Hurts quarterback 1 overall after this week? 4-point pass and touchdown format, probably because the rushing upside. 6-point pass and touchdown league, I think maybe you can go with Mahomes. Very close, very close. And then with CMC rest of season, he's going to be good in a full BBR format with the Elijah Mitchell injury. And with Godwin, I think he's still going to be that high-end wide receiver 2, low-end wide receiver 1. It's just natural wide receiver volatility. Like y'all saw that in our lessons learned video, we didn't focus too much on Chris Godwin because the man had the usual target volume he's been seeing. Just with wide receivers, naturally, you are going to get some boom weeks. You are going to get some bust weeks. I think he still projects as a high-end wide receiver 2 each and every week. Nicholas says, hey, Mason, the team is Brady, Swift, Harris, Jefferson, Higgins, Keenan, Fant, Sutton, Johnson, Dillon, 10-2. What do we do in a non-PPR format? My running backs are crying right now. I know. Going down with Najee Harris, that is going to be in a very tough spot. DeAndre Swift is someone that in a non-PPR format, I'll be willing to say, let's see if we can trade him for just anything. Let's see if we can utilize some of his name brand appeal and just get something. God knows what we're going to be able to get. I don't know at this point with DeAndre Swift, but the man has had one game with over 10 carries this year. That one game was back in week 1, obviously dealing with the injury, but I think in a full BBR format, maybe you hold off some hope for DeAndre Swift, whereas in a non-PPR league, we just sell for literally whatever we could get. I know we're not going to get a lot, but if we can go like Swift and then a depth wide receiver like Deontay Johnson in this non-PPR format and get in like just Jeff Wilson Jr., I'd be looking to do it. Now, Foos says, trade deadline tomorrow. Should I trade my Rashad White, Kyren Williams, Devonta Smith for Saquon Barkley, Juju, Julio, and James Robinson? I know James Robinson got benched this week. Yeah, so Julio Jones, James Robinson, literally non-factors in this offense. I mean, in this deal. It's, should we trade Rachaad White, Devonta Smith for Saquon Barkley and Juju Smith-Schuster? If Leonard Fournette were out for the season, I would have to sit here and think about this for quite some time. If Leonard Fournette were to be out for the season, I'd pencil in Rachaad White as a top 10 running back. But with Leonard Fournette coming back in, I think it's kind of going to be a similar situation to Dallas where everybody wants Tony Pollard. Everybody wants Rachaad White to be the starter, to get every touch out of the backfield going forward. And in reality, it's going to be a running back by committee. So I think we go get Saquon Barkley here, my friend. And real quick, we are at 399 likes on this live stream. Please, if you have not done so already, go down there, drop a like on the stream. Does help us out a ton. Help us get a 400 here. And our next question coming out from, I believe, Peter says, in a 14-team PPR format, we need one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, and a flex. 8 and 4, any moves should I make specifically at quarterback? Quarterback, we have Lawrence Goff. Wide receiver, we have Lamb, Kirk, Watson, Burks, Hollywood, Odell. Running back, we have Barkley, Etienne, Walker, White, P. Ryan, Dobbins. And tight end, we have Kelsey. 14-team league, obviously depth's going to be a little bit harder to come by. But I would say with Leonard Fournette coming back in, my friend, I don't know if we're even starting Rachaad White here. I would play Barkley, Etienne, and Walker all ahead of him. It's not your fault that you are just loaded at running back. So if we could go move Rachaad White and like Jared Goff and go get a quarterback that we're very excited about. Obviously, we try to go get Justin Herbert. We try to get Mahomes. We try to get the elite level quarterbacks. If we can't get one of those guys, I think we actually go ahead and we look for maybe Deshaun Watson, get the name that maybe has a little bit of a wider range of outcomes, a lower floor, but still that elite level ceiling. I think Rachaad White is expendable in this league to get that elite level quarterback, my friend. But thank you so much for supporting the channel. And Harrison says, 6 and 6, still have a good chance, full PPR. 10-team league, Allen, Kamara, Jacobs, Jamar Chase, Garrett Wilson, Foster Moreau, and Devonta Smith. Gibson and Hollywood on the bench. Need to win the next 2 weeks. Any moves to make? Well, Gibson looks like he doesn't have much value anymore, so it looks like we're going to be sitting still there. I mean, Al, if we're getting Jamar Chase back this week, I think we will be in a very good spot. I would say the only move I'm looking to make, and I know this sucks, is long-term, maybe we start Hollywood Brown over Garrett Wilson, just dependent on what we get from Garrett Wilson this next week. But Hollywood Brown does look like a wide receiver that you're probably going to want to start every week going forward. I think it's a great team, and it all just hinges on, can we get Jamar Chase back in? Can Jamar Chase be at 100%? Now, our next question coming out from Spencer says, we have Higgins, Waddle, Evans, Amari, Lamb, and Hollywood at wide receiver. Chubb, Walker, Stevenson, Pacheco at running back. We need 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, and a flex in a full PPR format. Thank you. No, thank you so much for supporting the channel, my friend. I think at wide receiver, we're going to go CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Waddle. Not going to think about it too much, assuming that we have Jamar Chase back for T. Higgins. Running back, we're going to be going with Nick Chubb against Houston Texans. And we're also going to be going ahead. We're going to be taking Kenneth Walker. Kenneth Walker and Ramondre Stevenson are pretty close for us. But Walker, I like the matchup against Arizona, where the Seattle Seahawks should be able to easily win this game and run the ball in the second half. And then for a flex spot, it's going to come down to, do you want T. Higgins, Amari Cooper, or Ramondre Stevenson? I'm going to go ahead. Let's take Amari Cooper. First week back from Deshaun Watson. Good matchup against Houston Texans. Amari has been on fire as of late. I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to roll with Amari. Jonathan coming out with a massive donation. Thank you so much, my man. Says, we're 10-2 in first place. We have Hollywood on the IR. Who should we drop? This is the team. Allen, Cook, Chubb, Juju, Wilson, Ayuk, Gabe Davis, Dameon Pierce, Tampa, and Denver defenses for week 16 and Tyler Bass. We also have Dylan, Tua, Madison, and Deontay Foreman. Okay, my friend, it is going to be an easy call for me. I know that we are just thinking about the fantasy football playoffs. I get it. And maybe for that reason, you're fine going through and looking to roster 2 defenses so we can get the best matchups possible each and every week. Let me pull up. Yeah, we have a Denver against the Rams week 16. What was the other defense we had? I believe Tampa. Yeah, Tampa's defense. Tampa's playing the Cardinals. I think the easy drop's going to be the defense. I mean, all these running backs either have the role currently or guys like Alexander Madison, A.J. Dillon. where if the starter were to go down in front of him, they turn into legitimate league-winning players. I'm going to go through. I'm going to drop a defense. It's your call between who you drop with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Denver Broncos. I mean, obviously, Russell Wilson and this Denver Broncos offense has been horrendous. I will say their defense has been pretty good. I mean, so far, they have the third best defense in points allowed this season. Obviously, that's not fantasy points, but just NFL points allowed straight up. They have been I just don't want to roster two defenses. I think we can reevaluate when we get closer to the fantasy football playoffs, my friend. Now, Chief Reefer coming out says, waiver wire rank Hasty, Snell, Knight, and Mason. I think we probably go Benny Snell. I think Benny Snell is going to be the top pickup because JaMychal Hasty, not really going to be too intriguing with looking like Travis Etienne coming back this week. And like we said in the waiver wire video today, you may have Darrell Henderson in that backfield as well. Knight, I don't know what the role is going to be with James Robinson. Mason's going to be the running back 2 in San Francisco. Even if he has an elite level name, he's never going to play over. I think we're probably going to go Benny Snell here because you have both Najee Harris as well as Jalen Warren getting banged up. But I think we'll have some more clarity tomorrow with practice reports by the time we got to submit this waiver wire claim. Now, Blake says start Keenan, Hollywood, or Pollard in the flex this week. Hollywood's on bye, so it's going to be down between Keenan and Pollard. Also need serious help with Higbee at tight end. Greg Dulcich, Foster Moreau, Dawson Knox, Gerald Everett, Hayden Hurst are available on the waiver wire. Hayden Hurst no longer going to be intriguing when we get Mixon and Jamar Chase back in. He was intriguing last week. I think we were just chasing last week's points if we go with him. I think same thing with Everett. Everett was intriguing when you have Keenan Allen, when you had no Mike Williams in Los Angeles. No longer interested in Everett. I think maybe you just go Dawson Knox. If it is a non-PPR format, we go Dawson Knox given the touchdown upside. If it's a full PPR format, let's go Foster Moreau given the target volume he's seen. And then I think we're going to go ahead. We're going to play Tony Pollard unless Mike Williams were to miss. And then it's going to be very difficult. If Mike Williams plays, you go Tony Pollard easily, and I repeat, easily over Keenan Allen. I do want to look into that. I do want to give an update later this week, though. Ian says, in a 10-team PPR format, 7-5 and just clinched the playoffs. Deshaun Watson, Jonathan Taylor, Rashad White, Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, Travis Kelce, Mike Evans. Bench is Montgomery, Dillon, Treylon Burks, Raheem Mostert, and Alexander Madison. What waiver wire moves should we make? First off, my friend, congrats on clinching the playoffs. That is a super big deal. If we're looking at making a move, I think really the only thing I could say, and I literally made video after video after video after video this year calling Rashad White that buy low guy, but I think now he could be a sell high option. Someone just said that they were able to sell him for Alvin Kamara. Someone just asked us about Rashad White versus Christian McCaffrey. I like Rashad White, but he's not in this tier if Leonard Fournette is coming back. So if we could go through and maybe package together like Rashad White and Treylon Burks and get a long-term running back upgrade, go get someone like Alvin Kamara, I would be interested in that, my friend, especially in a 10-team league where I'm assuming that there are good waiver wire options. Now, 20 out here, always happy to see you. Let me go ahead and make you a moderator in this live stream, my friend. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to, if you're a mod, but if you see someone spamming the chat over and over again, feel free to hit put user in timeout. It'll mute them if you think they're ruining the chat. Now, 12-team full PPR league. Can I win it all? We have Watson, CMC, Stevenson. So we have potentially an elite level quarterback, obviously, wide range of outcomes. We have 2 running back ones, Higgins, Olave. We have 2 borderline low-end wide receiver 1, high-end wide receiver 2. So we're just average at wide receiver. Connor at the flex spot. Love that flex. Connor's another running back 1. Schultz looks great. Garrett Wilson, Pittman, and Judy as potential starters on the bench. Yes. If we have Garrett Wilson and Michael Pittman down there on the bench as well, I think that this league can win it. What we're going to need is we're going to need some of these wide receivers to truly take that next step forward. We need Garrett Wilson to become an every week starter for us. We need Garrett Wilson to turn into this year's Amon-Ra St. Brown. If we were in a best ball format, we could just kind of cycle through them. It would be a lot easier, of course. Steven says, Adams, Jacobs, Eckler, Amon-Ra, and Kirk. All my top guys are playing each other in week 13. It's weird. Should I be worried? No, I don't think you should be worried whatsoever, my friend. I mean, I think that your game will be a little bit more correlated, where you'll have a higher ceiling, a lower floor, but you're not going to be avoiding that. You just kind of roll with the punches here, my friend. I mean, if anything, it's good. You don't have to watch Red Zone. You can just turn on a handful of games and you know how your team, you know how your league's going to go just based off those few contests. But now our next question coming out here from, I believe, L, who says, Pierce and Olave for Zeke. Is Pickens a good flex? I would go ahead and we'd probably roll with the Pickens and Olave side. I don't freaking know. Zeke's not going to have the game he just had every week. I think it's going to be a running back 2 type situation. We do have Zeke over Pierce this week in our rankings, but I think giving up Olave is a little too much. And I don't think Pickens is a good flex. I think he's an okay flex, but I don't want to call him a good flex. Now, Lopez says, Mason got the W. Hell yes, 6-6 now. I believe Lopez was 1-6 at one point this year. I believe that's a 5-game win streak. Hell yes, my man. Back in the playoff race, thanks to you. A lineup is Dak, JT, Walker, Waddle, Amon-Ra, Kelsey, and Lockett at the flex. And then bench is Najee, Connor, Rashad White, Thielen, Hopkins. Couldn't get an upgraded quarterback. Any other moves or suggestions? If we could sell Rashad White and Tyler Lockett to get an upgraded wide receiver, I'd be interested in that. We would need an elite level wide receiver in return. Outside of that, I don't really have anything. Obviously, after this week, once we get James Conner and DeAndre Hopkins back from the bye, then they are going to be guys that are going into our starting lineup. I think we keep Lockett down there in the flex. I will say, if Justin Fields gets cleared earlier this week, we probably will look to start Justin Fields over Dak Prescott. Now, Max says, any buy low / medium flex or running back 2 for the playoffs in app PPR format? Najee Harris was that guy if we were looking for a low-end RB2. Let me think. Let's skim through these underdog props real quick just to get brainstorm some ideas. And of course, if you want to check out any of these props on Underdog, you can find the link in the live chat. Find it in the description. Promo code FLOCK, 100% deposit match. And also promo code FLOCK. You get a free Patrick Mahomes bet more than less than half a passing yard. Available in damn near every state. Works so damn hard to get y'all that. Low-end RB2. Are we seeing anybody here? Can't go for Sanders after the week he just had. If someone's willing to sell Kamara at a running back 2 price tag, I'll be willing to buy him there. We have Alvin Kamara ranked as the running back 15 this week. People have been telling us that we're a little too high on Kamara. I don't know. He's going to catch the ball out of the backfield. I still think that he is easily, and I repeat, easily a top 24 running back. Probably still a low-end RB1, high-end RB2. I think we can just kind of say that the issue primarily with Kamara, at least this past week, was the Saints offense and the fact that they had to play against the 49ers. And obviously the 49ers, I mean, are in a spot where they maybe have the best defense in the NFL right now. If it's not the Dallas Cowboys, they're pretty damn close. Now, Jack coming out says, well, $100 thanks to some of your props, so I thought I'd send a little back your way. Thank you so much, my friend. I'll say a quick side note. I got crushed with props this week. What props did you take of ours that helped you out? And I dropped 190 points with Rashad White, Jefferson Connor, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. Now, that is very exciting. Super happy for you, my friend. I got crushed with props this week. I'm happy to hear that you did well. Now, Dab my Corona, always happy to see you, says, can I start Dameon Pierce over Jeff Wilson? I know Jeff Wilson has a very tough matchup going up against the 49ers. We can't do it. We're not doing it. Now, Captain Superbad coming out with a massive dono. Thank you so much, my friend. Says 8-4. We have Allen, Connor, Walker, White, Chase, Godwin, Adams, and Kittle. And then on the bench, we have Jeff Wilson Jr., David Njoku, and Tony Pollard. You think it's a solid team for the playoffs, or should we make some trades? We have potentially the quarterback 1 overall. We have potentially minimum 2 running back 1s. And then say 2 running back 2s. So we have top end running back production and depth. We have 2 elite level receivers with Chase and Adams. We have another potential wide receiver 1 with Godwin. It's a phenomenal team, my friend. phenomenal team. The only thing I could say is maybe if we could make an Andrews trade, I'd still rather have Andrews over Kittle rest of season. If we could go like Kittle and Jeff Wilson Jr. and go ahead and get Mark Andrews that way, maybe. But phenomenal team. Super happy for you, my friend. And Beefy Bitcoin coming out with another massive donation. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much, my friend. Says, I'm going to be in a 3-way tie for first in my 12-team fantasy league. I think I'm screwed with my running back situation. We have Henry, Etienne. What? You have Derrick Henry and Travis Etienne. You're good spot. You're good, my friend. Pierce Hilliard. We have $10 left out of our $1,000 waiver wire budget. Is there a cheap running back I can get for nothing as a long shot pickup on the waiver wire? Etienne should be playing this week. Etienne should be playing. So instead of going and trying, and trust me, I'm racking my brain trying to think of anything we can give you right now. I think we sit still. If it's the last $10 we have, it's not the end of the season right now. If Etienne plays this week, you're starting Henry and Etienne over anybody you're getting off the waiver wire. I would rather save that last $10 of our fab budget just in case something pops up when we get closer to the fantasy football playoffs. I know some high-stakes leagues, you can't work the waiver wire during the fantasy football playoffs. I'm assuming that's not this league because I'm assuming you would have told us. Let's save our $10. Let's save our $10, my friend. I'm sorry I'm not giving you a name. I know we have some people in the chat saying Zonovan Knight. I think he probably goes for more than 1% of the overall waiver wire budget. Yeah, let's save the $10. This is not the week to blow it all, my friend. Now, Ukes, coming out. Happy to see you, my man. Says, build my roster for week 13 in a full PPR format. We need 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a tight end, and a flex. We have Fields, Dak, CMC, Barkley, Walker, JT, DJ Moore, Olave, Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen, Dalton Schultz, and Tyler Conklin. Okay. If we're looking at if we're looking at Dak Prescott versus Justin Fields, difficult for me to answer this right now because I don't even want to say, let's play Justin Fields if he's good to go, because if Justin Fields is like a game time decision where he's barely good to go and we have Darnell Mooney missing the game, possibly another Chicago Bears wide receiver out, if all that happens, probably I would just rather avoid it. Probably rather just avoid Justin Fields. But of course, we're just going to have to wait and figure out what's happening here in Chicago. So let's wait on the quarterback spot. Running back between CMC, Barkley, Kenneth Walker and Jonathan Taylor. Taylor is a very tough matchup going up against the Dallas Cowboys. I think we're probably going to go ahead and take... Now that Elijah Mitchell's confirmed out for the season, I think we're probably going to go ahead and we're going to take CMC and Kenneth Walker, just because JT has that super bad matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. Wide receiver, DJ Moore, Olave, Christian Kirk, Keenan Allen. We're going to go with the combo of Keenan Allen as well as Christian Kirk. Tight end between Schultz and Conklin, we're going to go with Dalton Schultz. And then for the flex spot, we're going to go right back to the running back position, and we'll take Jonathan Taylor there. We'll go right back to running back. We'll take Jonathan Taylor despite the tough matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Curran says, got offered Devontae and Connor for Amon-Ra St. Brown and Nick Chubb. Give me Amon-Ra St. Brown. Give me Nick Chubb over James Conner. Give me Devontae Adams over Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think it's a very fair deal. Not sure. I'm desperate for running back. We're 10-2. We have Kamara who's hurt. Jamal, Rashad White, Latavius, Swift, and James Robinson. What's the move? I mean, it's not like you're desperate for running back, so we slightly upgrade at RB where we already had a starter. Maybe you're just saying you're desperate for this week if Alvin Kamara were to miss. But I'd say at the same time, you're in first place. Instead of thinking about just this week, I would rather prioritize thinking about the fantasy football playoffs. So it's a very fair deal. Can I ask everybody in the live chat what they would rather have? Can everybody in the chat please let me know? Would you rather have Devontae Adams and James Conner or Nick Chubb and Amon-Ra St. Brown? So you're upgrading from Conner to Chubb. You're downgrading from Devontae Adams to Amon-Ra St. Brown. Which side are you going to have? Please let me know in the live chat. There are 800 people in this live stream right now. And also, if you have not done so already, drop a like on the stream. Just hit 500 likes in the live stream. So if you could drop a like while you're down there typing, would help us out a ton. Okay. Looks like a lot of people taking the Chubb and Amon-Ra St. Brown side. I'm a little bit surprised by this. I mean, I think Conner is super exciting. If you're looking at it just workload for James Conner. He played 63 out of 65 snaps this week. Conner's exciting. Now, Jero says, hey, Mason, Devonta Smith or Donovan Peoples-Jones rest of the season. We're going to go Smith. James says, asked a few weeks ago, but Dynasty 12 team, Superflex, 6-point pass and touchdown. 2 years ago, I traded JT for Lawrence and a first. Did I win this yet? JT versus Lawrence and Olave. I probably go JT side. I probably go JT side. I'm not a big Lawrence fanboy, if I'm going to be honest with you, though. Now, Neil says 6-6, trying to make the playoffs. We traded Hopkins, Drake, Burrow, D-Rob. I'm assuming you meant to say B-Rob. A.J. Brown, CMC, Kelsey. For Chase, Zeke, Sutton, Mike Williams, Schultz, Pollard, and Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh my gosh, you traded your entire team. So Hopkins to Chase, slight upgrade. Burrow to Jimmy G, massive downgrade. CMC to Ezekiel Elliott, massive downgrade. A.J. Brown to Cortland Sutton, massive downgrade. Travis Kelce to Dalton Schultz, massive downgrade. You made a horrible trade, my friend. I am so sorry to say this. If this trade's typed out the way it should be, give me the Hopkins, Burrow, A.J. Brown, CMC, Travis Kelce side. Not even close. I think you upgrade in like one spot to downgrade in 5. I'm really hoping you mistyped this. I'm really hoping that you got the other side, but as it's typed, I'm sorry, my friend. I hate it. Now, the Noctorious one says, should I trade Mixon for Chubb or Jacobs? I'd go Mixon for Jacobs. Jacobs right now is literally the running back one from a points per game standpoint in a half PPR league. DeCreel says, who can we get for Deebo Samuel? Y'all remember a couple weeks ago, we were saying trade Deebo for Chris Godwin, but now I don't know if that's going to be possible. If we can go move Deebo Samuel and another piece and go get A.J. Brown, who's been a little disappointing over the past few weeks, I would look to do that. Now, Timothy says, Etienne, White, Pittman, Garrett Wilson, Evans. We got to pick 3. I think we're going to go Etienne, if Leonard Fournette were to play, it's going to be a little tougher. If Leonard Fournette were to play, we go Evans over Rachaad White. I'm just thinking for that last spot between White, Pittman, and Garrett Wilson. We'll go Etienne, Evans, Garrett Wilson, reevaluate what the Leonard Fournette role is, and then maybe Rachaad White afterwards. Blake says, forgot to ask earlier, Odell's on waiver wire in my league. Is he worth a spot on the bench this early? Yes. We've been saying for God knows how long now that Odell Beckham Jr. should not be on your roster, that he should be on the waiver wire. But I think it's about time that you go ahead and you pick up Odell. Now, Lath says, hey, Mason, full BBR currently in first with 1 loss. Want to prepare for the playoffs. Hurts, Walker, Saquon, Waddle, Hopkins. Flex last week, White, Moreau, and then the bench, we have Chase, Mixon, Brown, Olave, and Goddard. Okay, so how the hell do we prepare for the playoffs here? You already have the best roster in the league. There's no way in hell anybody's going to come close to you. The only way, and I repeat, I guess the only way this team could improve, the only way this team could prepare for the playoffs to be going and upgrading that tight end spot. I mean, maybe if we wanted to go ahead and make a move for Mark Andrews, that could be a possibility. I mean, obviously, Andrews has been very bad. That's why you're going to get him at a significant discount. Like, if you wanted to go ahead and possibly try to trade Hollywood Brown and Dallas Goedert, or Hollywood Brown and Rachaad White, or Hollywood Brown, Rachaad White, and Dallas Goedert to go get Mark Andrews. If we look at the depth that you have on this team where we're about to get Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon back in, I think you can afford to do so. Okay. Now, Matt says, trying to upgrade the flex/bench pieces are Evans, Hollywood, Swift, Jamal, Boyd, Geno, Myers. Who should I try to trade for with those pieces? Not going to get anything for Evans. Hollywood is going to be a hold for me at the moment. You're not going to get anything for Swift. You're not going to get anything for Boyd. You're not going to get anything for Geno. You're not going to get anything for Myers. If you have an elite level quarterback and Geno Smith's your backup option, what I'd say is if you're trying to upgrade that bench, just drop Geno Smith, go through and try to pick up a running back that's an injury away from being someone you can get real excited about off the waiver wire. Go try to pick up someone like an Alexander Madison where Dalvin Cook were to go down, then all of a sudden you have a league-winning player. Outside of that, I can't say, okay, yeah, let's go package Tyler Boyd and Jamal Williams and let's trade him for Travis Etienne. I mean, I could say it, but it's not going to help you. It's never going to happen. So I think realistically speaking, the only thing you can do is drop Geno Smith and pick him another running back off the waiver wire. Patrick says, I have Kyler and Brady. In week 15, Brady plays Cincinnati and Kyler plays Denver. Would you ride with them or roll elsewhere? Nope. Ride with them. Ride with them, my friend. Take Him says, do you prefer Tua or Herbert rest of season? I think at this point we got to prefer Tua, right? I mean, maybe we could go Herbert if we had everybody healthy in Los Angeles, if you weren't dealing with the Mike Williams injury right now. But with Mike Williams injury, I think you go Tua easily. Now, Adam says trade Eckler and Van Jefferson for... I mean, let me go back to this. You don't go Tua easily. You go Tua for the time being until we get Mike Williamson. Then we reevaluate. I'm so sorry. We've recorded 4 videos today. My brain's fried. Adam says trade Eckler and Van Jefferson for Jamar Chase and Chris Olave. Nope. Yeah. I think you got to keep Austin Eckler. I mean, in a full PBR format, Austin Eckler is the RB1 right now. Vader says, would you trade Herbert and Freiermuth for Kelsey? I tried to trade Fields and Freiermuth for Kelsey, but he didn't take it. Watson's also on waiver. If you can go get Deshaun Watson off the waiver wire, you should have traded Justin Herbert and Pat Freiermuth for Travis Kelsey yesterday. Don't ask this question. Go ahead and do that right now, my friend. Go get Travis Kelsey. Jordan says, in a 10-team PBR format, 10-2, no defense/kicker, double flex, 3 wide receiver. We have Hurts, Mixon, Connor, Pollard, Foreman, CPAT, Hunt, Jefferson, Chase, Kirk, Lazard, Slayton, Robert Woods. 10-2, and we had the Jamar Chase injury and the James Conner injury. This team's phenomenal. Njoku, 2 flexes, depends on the week. Any moves we should make or just chill? I think specifically because you can start up to 5 wide receivers every week, we probably should be prioritizing wide receiver depth in this league. But, I mean, at the same time, we essentially just want to make sure that we have enough guys that we can go through and we can jam in those 2 flex spots. So having those additional running backs, guys like Pollard, Deontay Foreman, are actually going to be very valuable for us in this format. So honestly, when you have such a large starting lineup as well, I'm going to be significantly more willing to just go ahead and punt the tight end position because they're going to make up a lower percentage of your starting lineup output each and every week. So I think we're just kind of going to ride and chill. Obviously, we're a little weak at tight end here, but I think you can afford to be weak at tight end if this is the construction of your roster and the league format. Robert says in a 12-team app PBR format, trade away Kamara and Chase for Austin Eckler. Other running backs are Walker, Carter, Akers. Receivers are Diggs, Lazard, Kirk, Pickens, Hollywood. We don't have a ton of depth. I would probably keep Kamara and Chase, but I still think Kamara is a top 12 running back rest of season. And I still think Jamar Chase, he should come back this week, is a top 5 wide receiver. Now, Caesar says trade Pittman, Pickens, and Kelsey for Tyreek and Andrews. You're clearly getting a downgrade from Kelsey to Andrews, but the upgrade you're getting from Pittman and Pickens to Tyreek Hill, I think, is a larger. I think you're getting a larger upgrade at wide receiver than downgrade at tight end. Now, Mason says, first off, elite level name, my friend, 10-team app PBR format. Quarterback, we have Allen. Running back, we have Mixon, Wilson, White, Carter, Madison, Pacheco, Swift. Wide receiver, we have Jefferson, Chase, Amon-Ra, Pickens. Tight end, we have Kelsey. How the hell do so many of y'all have Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson on the same roster? How? I don't understand it. Like, we've seen 10 teams in this live stream that have Jefferson and Chase paired together. Amon-Ra St. Brown, wide receiver 3. I know you're weak at RB2, but you have potentially the quarterback 1 overall, the tight end 1 overall, potentially 3 top 5 receivers. No, don't bother trying to upgrade running back 2. We're just going to go through. We're going to cycle guys through. Right now you're either picking between Rachaad White or Jeff Wilson, and you're just crushing everywhere else. Jason says, Cousins, Watson, or Mike White rest of season. Give me Deshaun Watson over Kirk Cousins and Mike White rest of season. Maybe this first weekend you go through and take Kirk Cousins over Deshaun Watson. Rest of season, give me Watson. Ethan says a full BBR team is Kyler, CMC, JT, Evans, Amari, Rachaad White, Higbee, Hollywood, Devonta Smith, Isaiah Pacheco, Pickens, Moreau, Pirine. What moves are we looking to make? We've been saying this over and over again. I hate to. I don't want to make it seem like I'm some Rachaad White hater. There's probably been no running back that's been on more buy low running back videos for us than Rachaad White this season. Like, y'all know how much we hyped up Rachaad White this year. But if we're going to be honest with Rachaad White, this is a spot where Leonard Fournette comes back in. Leonard Fournette's going to have a role. I think it's going to be very similar to what we have with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard in Dallas, where maybe we all want Tony Pollard to be the every down guy, but that's not going to happen just because we want it to happen. So if we could go ahead and potentially move off of Rachaad White's, package him with someone like George Pickens, and get an elite level player in the flex, I would really like that. I'd really like that. Now, Caesar says we have Jefferson, Lamb at receiver, and Etienne at the flex. Is this still a yes? Yes, 100% if this is the Tyreek and Andrews move. Adam says, I lost Kupp, so wide receivers are Gabe Davis and Christian Watson. We have Allen, Eckler, JT, flexing DeAndre Swift with Rachaad White, Van Jefferson on the bench. Should I look to upgrade a wide receiver? And if so, how? So the main issue with this team is not necessarily just going to be, wide receiver, running back. The main issue with this team comes down to depth. If you're telling me that DeAndre Swift is right now in our starting lineup, that tells me we're not deep enough at running back and we're not deep enough at receiver. So the last thing I want to do is to go through and trade away 2 pieces for only 1 in return. Like, my initial reaction to this is let's trade Rachaad White and let's package him with Van Jefferson and get a viable wide receiver every single week. But I don't know if that deal makes too much sense because this team doesn't have depth to begin with, so we shouldn't be giving up multiple players when we can avoid it. I would still say that's going to be the fundamental idea of a trade that we would like to make, is by going through and capitalizing on this massive spike in value that we're getting from Rachaad White, going through and getting a wide receiver that you're very excited about in return. I mean, if we're moving off of Rachaad White, Amon-Ra St. Brown's not a great example because obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown has that spike week on Thanksgiving, so he's going to be a little bit more expensive here. But if we can go package Rachaad White and a wide receiver and get like A.J. Brown in to fill in for Kupp, I think that will be good. But I think that should be it for this live stream. Of course, thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. I truly do appreciate all of you. I hope you all have Josh Jacobs in as many leagues as we are able to get in this season. If you have any questions, of course, you can drop them in the comment section. I'll try to lay in bed and fire up this video's comment section and answer some of those questions. After this, you'll see the comment section pop up when I end the live stream. If y'all want to check out any of these player props on Underdog Fantasy, they'll match your first deposit dollar for dollar up to 100 with promo code FLOCK. And only promo code FLOCK will you get this free Patrick Mahomes bet, which I'm super excited about being able to give y'all. Outside of that, all I have to say is thank you again. I truly do appreciate you. I hope you have a great day, and I really do hope I get to see you out in the live stream tomorrow night.